Antediluvian. Adjective. 1. Of or belonging to the time before the biblical flood. 2. Humorous, ridiculously old-fashioned. So my last video was somewhat different to my channel's usual mode of video-ness. Is that even a word? It is now. Usually I just post vlogs and I ramble on about things or I talk about corsets, and that my last video was totally different to all of that. It was kind of an art film, which was kind of an accident actually. I was what I've been wanting to do for a while is that I've been wanting to record a new intro sequence, because the intro sequences I have been using are pre-made ones, and they I think they're biteable, but I can't remember off the top of my head right now. But they have the website, I got them from web address watermarked onto the bottom, and it works for what it is, but I don't think it's greatly professional looking, and I want to make things, you know, a bit more gelled and nicer looking and a bit more professional, and you know, in general I want things to look a bit nicer when I'm making videos. So, basically when I was in Whitby for the Bram Stoker Film Festival, Queenie and I just pranced around with the camera for a bit and ended up with way more than I was initially wanting, and so I cut it all up like a jigsaw and slotted it back together and made that video. Effects wise and colour wise and sort of, you know, general feelings wise of the whole thing, I was quite inspired by Maya Deren, mostly by her film Meshes of the Afternoon, which I discovered it must be about 5 or so years ago. It was just before the last AFI album came out, because, you know, I have a long history of weird. And basically, if we trace it right back, right to the beginnings of how I came to discover Maya Deren, I've always been a huge fan of the band AFI since I was about 13, I think. Maybe a bit younger, I can't quite remember when Sing the Sorrow came out. Enjoyed the band, had my first email address, joined the AFI forum. It was a very active forum. It was way more active than any of the other band forums I followed. I discovered that they had a very odd art film out called Clandestine. I still don't actually own a copy, but I may have at some point seen it. With, I think it was Jade's soundtrack, because there are two different versions. At one point it was uploaded to YouTube before copyright was all crazy back in the day. So I have seen it, I just have not yet purchased a copy, because it's kind of expensive these days, because it was a special edition DVD, and yeah, it's hard to find. It's weird as hell, but I sort of love it in its own weird way. Anyhow, I was on the AFI forums for absolutely years. I'm still friendly with quite a lot of people I know from that forum. We're all Facebook friends now because that forum is unfortunately gone. It passed on when the last album came out. But anyway, I'm forward tracking too far again. But after Clandestine and after the whole Sing the Sorrow hype died down, a few years later came December Underground. And in the run-up to December Underground, the band released these very strange, really fucking weird art films that were all clues to a greater mystery. Oh, well, maybe. That's what we thought anyway. All big clues to a greater mystery, and when we as a board went through and deciphered all of the strange little clues, they all eventually led to the 5 Flowers, which was something to do with a secret show and involved some people from the forum turning up somewhere, wondering if somebody was actually going to turn up holding a flower or if they were all crazy. And it turned out they did, and it involved secret shows, and I can't quite remember the specifics, but I just remember it was a thing. They did something similar a few years later with the Crash Love album, but it was only the one video. Was that the one with the car? I think that was the one with the car. And again, it was kind of strange, but not quite as strange, but not like the same level of strange as someone unwrapping Davey Havok's mummified head whilst he said something backwards, which was one of the December Underground lead-up videos. Yeah, they're a strange band. In the lead up to Burials, again, they released a few strange and odd little snippets, one of which involved a guy in a cloak holding a mirror where his face should be, and it was creepy as hell, and someone said it reminded them a lot of Maya Daren's Meshes of the Afternoon. This, of course, led me to going and looking up Maya Daren's Meshes of the Afternoon, and I discovered that, yes, I could see where they'd got that idea from. Also, it kind of blew my mind. It was really weird, but it sort of struck a chord with me because it was weird, but in a way that made sense. Basically, the too long didn't read of Meshes of the Afternoon is a woman who thinks she's dreaming, and there's this repeating theme going over a day, and so it also involves out-of-body experiences and a guy in a big ass cloak with a mirror for face, and I'm not going to ruin the ending, but it turns out maybe she wasn't dreaming after all. But it does have like this sort of long-running narrative of bits repeating slightly frustratingly because you want it to go in a linear way, but it actually goes in a circular way. But you want to know what happens afterwards, and you get like a tiny bit further each time, and you think you know where it's going, and then you don't. And it's just really interesting, and it really pulls you in. As do a lot of Maya Daren's other films, but that one in particular, just the repeating themes, it just really interested me and I loved it. And so when I ended up with all of this footage, which was way more footage than I had initially planned on, I was looking through it, and one of the things that I really liked was how the footage on the stairway worked out. And I thought maybe that could be used in a similar way. And so that's how I ended up with what I ended up with. I just chopped it up and put it back together again in a way that made logical sense to me, but may not necessarily make logical sense to anybody else. And I tried to echo the sort of non-linear telling, to echo the sort of looping story that leads to the greater sort of linear arc. And I kind of wanted but I want to know what happens next, but you're not going to find out what happens next just yet kind of feeling that you get from Meshes of the Afternoon. And I kind of hope I did something similar to that. As for the name Antediluvian, to be perfectly honest, I just, because of the vampire thing, I wanted to use a word that sounded old. And so I just flicked through a thesaurus until I found a synonym for old that I quite liked the sound of, and that was antediluvian. That's what I ended up with. And so basically this was just a video that sort of tried to make sense of it. If you happen to be going through my channel and were expecting a vlog and instead got some creepy ass film of me being all strange and floaty. If you liked my explanation, give me a thumbs up and a follow, a subscribe if you may be interested in seeing something else like this in the future, because, you know, I have a lot of ideas in my head. Maybe someday I'll put them onto film. And if you've never heard of Maya Daren or Meshes of the Afternoon, look it up. Last I checked, you could actually watch Meshes of the Afternoon for free on YouTube. If you can't at the moment for some reason, although I can't imagine you wouldn't be able to because it is out of copyright as far as I know, because it was filmed in the 40s, I think. But yeah, if you've never heard of it, go look it up. It's great. It's weird, very weird, as on many of our other videos, but it's really interesting, and I love the way it's told, and I love the whole feelings and the creepiness around it, and I'm sorry to ramble again. I will hopefully see you again soon, and we'll be back to vlogging for a while I try and sort my shit out. See you then. Goodbye.